abroad demonstrate their patriotic fervor by condemning a failed attempt by a group of misguided compatriots abroad to tarnish the image of the country. These errant compatriots have been urged to be responsible and refrain from inappropriate and dishonorable actions which do not speak well of Cameroon. Kamer plane interrupts traffic at the Yaoundé International Airport for a few hours last evening due to a flat tire. No passenger was hurt and the plane resumed its flight after a few checks. Cameroon government's response to COVID-19 sees an improvement made to its health system in spite of continuous misinformation around the vaccination campaign. This comes after an assessment of measures put in place to check the killer disease. These are our headlines. Thanks for joining us on this primetime news. I am Freddy Eta Bisong. False
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Welcome back. False information specialists on Cameroon have flooded the cyberspace with doses of misinformation about the country. Much of their material falsely targets the President of the Republic, whom they portray as a dictator, one who has waged war on Anglophones. This and others only add to their hidden agenda to destabilize the state and its institutions. Charles Ebona establishes the facts from the pile of lies online.
Do you solemnly swear before God and man to devote all your efforts to preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution and the laws of the United Republic of Cameroon, to watch over the common will of the nation, and to uphold and defend the unity, integrity, and independence of the Cameroon fatherland? I do so swear.
39 years on, Paul Biya Cameroonian president. That is true. 39 years on, Paul Biya as a dictator. That is not true, because there is no truer Democrat than Paul Biya, elected by his people all the times, transparently in plural elections, held within the confines of the Constitution, with a Charter of Liberty in which he is the author, the father of the Cameroonian democratic system. That the military regrettably launched an operation in secession-hit northwest and southwest regions, killing children, that is true. And that the commander-in-chief, President Paul Biya, ordered for an investigation which ended with the severe sanctioning of the authors of that regrettable act, that is true too. That Paul Biya has declared war on Cameroonians living in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, that is untrue. Terrorists claiming to be secessionists have waged war on Cameroonians, killing people like the innocent school-going Kumba kids last October. A major national dialogue was convened by Paul Biya with an olive branch message for all for peace, but the architects of the monstrous acts boycotted because they enjoy blood. And that is the blood they wanted out today, just like in 2019, just like last September 22. Today was another day, complete fiasco. Their scheme failed. The Swiss security apparatus was there to protect the president. That President Paul Biya permits corruption with impunity in Cameroon is a fallacy of appreciation looking at the merciless war on embezzlement. The judiciary is simply independent, doing its job according to its timetable based on facts. Jungle justice is not a feature of the Cameroonian legal apparatus. The catalogue of lies spied online against the Cameroonian people, the Cameroonian system, and the Cameroonian president, the head of state who incarnates the institutions, only makes their malleable intentions a failure because they are not based on any canon of truth so dear to the community of believers.
And Cameroonians continue to commit themselves to Republican institutions with more support and love for President Paul Biya, following planned demonstrations organized by some minority groups in the diaspora. Cameroonians at home and abroad continue to encourage their brothers and sisters in the diaspora that peace and stability, which the head of state champions, is what the country needs to emerge. The reactions from the Adamawa, the East, Northwest and Central regions call on the diaspora to respect President Paul Biya, who is an elected leader of a sovereign nation. These reactions with Constantine Baum in the following report.
It is a nationwide condemnation as majority Cameroonians defend the highest institution of the country.
Car le Cameroun est un pays souverain. Et le président Paul Biya a été élu par l'ensemble.
Cameroon is a sovereign state with the president democratically elected and loved by majority Cameroonians. We are Cameroonians with diverse opinions but need to sit on a table and converse. Democracy is not found in streets. It is inadmissible that people go out to attack the head of state. We strongly denounce the activities of the BAS.
The Adamawa population sees any attack on the head of state's integrity, whether in Cameroon or abroad, is to be denounced with the utmost energy.
We cannot ridicule our president in public in such a manner. Yes, he is our president and we respect him because we elected him and we respect his mandate.
We condemn it with the deepest energy in our bodies.
The action, according to the East region, is very unpatriotic.
Not only denounce but condemn, strongly condemn what is going on in Europe. The head of state, Mr. Paul Biya, we might not like him, but at least we have to respect him as the first institution of our country, that's Cameroon.
We have an obligation to respect our institution. So the head of state is one of these institutions. Even if you have problem inside our country, we don't have reason to go out of our country to expose the image of our country.
We cannot always keep on fighting among ourselves, but just that dialogue can really lead us towards the right direction.
If you are in the diaspora, it is because we have to bring back our experience, our knowledge, so that Cameroon will grow up. If you have something to say against the head of state, there are some rules which has to be respected.
The Northwest region has also raised its voice.
I really regret, or rather deplore, the attitudes of these Cameroonians in the diaspora. I think it's not a good way of showing gratitude to a man who has served you for all these years.
From the north, south, east and west of the country, the people have strongly denounced the acts and actions of the anti-republican minority diaspora groups, with them highlighting that Cameroon remains a one and indivisible nation, as it is based on this unity that the head of state is leading the nation towards emergence.
Cameroonians abroad have been urged to ever remain loyal citizens and responsible so as to refrain from inappropriate and dishonorable actions which can only tarnish the image of the country. The plea came from the president of the Parliamentary Network on the Diaspora, Decentralization and Cross-Border Cooperation, REPCOD, the Honorable Louis-Henri Ngancha, in a press conference held in Yaoundé to denounce the planned protest by some Cameroonians in Geneva, Switzerland, against the presidential couple. Clarence Nge attended the event. Let's get his report.
The 2-hour press conference at Hotel de Député Friday was to dissuade diaspora Cameroonians not to involve in the planned protest scheduled this Saturday in Geneva, Switzerland by a few Cameroonians against President Paul Biya's wife, an act members of the Parliamentary Network on Diaspora Affairs described as unpatriotic and disrespect to the head of state, who is an institution.
The head of state is an institution. The President of the Republic is enshrined in the Constitution, Article 5. He is the head of state, and Article 8 says he represents the state.
Chairing the event, the president of the network, Honorable Louis Henri Gacha, condemned such uncivic idea by a few diasporans against their president who embodies state institutions. He, however, called on Cameroonians abroad to continue inculcating responsible, moral, republican and constructive behaviors so as to build a dignified and respectable country. The Parliamentary Network on Diaspora Affairs is a framework for permanent dialogue between parliamentarians and Cameroonians living abroad. The network plays a facilitating role between the diaspora and the government for a solid mutual understanding.
Cameroonians of all walks of life at home and abroad have demonstrated their patriotic fervor by condemning a failed attempt by some of their misguided compatriots in the diaspora to disrupt the private stay of the head of state abroad. They have joined the government to call on their compatriots living abroad to desist from any act that could tarnish the image of the country. Our Unity Palace correspondent, Amin Keng-Edouard, in the following report says the office of the President of the Republic is sacred and deserves respect.
Over and over again, through a universal suffrage, the people of Cameroon have renewed their confidence in him. And repeatedly, his legitimacy as the President of the Republic has been affirmed and reaffirmed by the Cameroonian people. Through the ballot box, Cameroonians, in their overwhelming majority, have conferred on him the very sacrosanct constitutional prerogatives to represent the state of Cameroon in all acts of public life and to guarantee the safety of the national territory.
I do so swear.
President Paul Biya is at the moment, and since 1982, the guarantor of Cameroon's independence and Cameroon's territorial integrity. And by this constitutional right, Cameroonians see in their democratically elected president the ash-bearer of the country's political system and an embodiment of national unity. They also see in him the man who defines the policies of the state and keeps a close watch over the strict respect of the laws of the land, amongst other important presidential duties. As a matter of fact, the central and strategic position that the President of the Republic occupies in the institutions of the country finds an eloquent justification in the political choice made by Cameroonians. And the choice of the people is the choice of God. On the premise of his legitimacy, any attempt to attack his person or his office, for whatever reason and by whosoever, will be considered as desecrating the most sacred and the most sacrosanct authority of the President of the Republic and the state of Cameroon. Lucky enough, Cameroonians in their immense majority at home and abroad, with their good sense of patriotism and unity, have said no to any attempt intended to ridicule the authority of a duly elected president, and no to any maneuvers that undermine the political choice of the sovereign people of Cameroon.
Without bringing this press release from the National Assembly, it reads, the National Assembly follows with keen attention the call by some Cameroonians abroad in Geneva, Switzerland, to demonstrate on the occasion of the private stay in that country by the President of the Republic. Some of these calls are tinged with hateful, irreverent, and even tribalist remarks. In that respect, the National Assembly decries and regrets such recurrent defiance against the institutions of the Republic and the person who embodies them, His Excellency Paul Biya, who moreover was elected by a vast majority of Cameroonians on the 7th of October 2018. The National Assembly notes that according to these Cameroonians in the diaspora, who are moreover in the minority and calling for demonstrations and who commit acts of violence, only the international and not the national opinion counts, and that the solutions to Cameroon's problems are outside and not in Cameroon. Also, the National Assembly condemns such insanity and asserts that the problems of Cameroon are resolved in Cameroon and by Cameroonians. The National Assembly expresses its indignation and vehemently condemns such methods as well as its perpetrators and sponsors lurking in the dark. The National Assembly calls on Cameroonians abroad to be more committed to love their country and uphold its image, and to demonstrate a heightened sense of patriotism instead of serving the personal ambitions of some individuals or the hidden agenda of others who only dream of seeing Cameroon sink into chaos. The National Assembly encourages the responsible diaspora on the one hand and the vast majority of Cameroonians on the other to stay alert, united, and to continue to trust the institutions of the Republic and the person who embodies them. This press release was done in Yaoundé, 16th of July 2021, and signed Kavayege Jibril. Traffic has resumed at the Yaoundé International Airport after a few hours of interruption. The interruption was due to a flat tire on an aircraft heading to the runway for takeoff last evening. No passenger was injured, and the airliner, after some checks, has resumed takeoff and landing operations. Beatrice Ngum tells us more.
The incident occurred on Friday, July 16 at about 7:30 p.m. at the Yaoundé International Airport. An aircraft belonging to the national airline bound for Douala was heading for the runway for takeoff. During the maneuver, a puncture occurred. No one was injured, and the passengers on board were safely removed from the aircraft. The runway was momentarily closed to remove any debris. The damaged wheel was replaced and the aircraft returned to the parking terminal. This Saturday morning, the runway was reopened. Takeoff and landing operations resumed at the Yaoundé International Airport. The first passengers of the day left from the Douala Airport for Yaoundé.
We move over to the littoral, where the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, was in Douala to preside over the initial public offering of 61,630 shares at 42,000 CFA francs per share by a financial institution at the Bourse des Valeurs Mobiliers d'Afrique Centrale BVMAC. The ringing of the bell to start trading the shares took place in the presence of the president of the CEMAC Commission, Daniel Ondo, and financial experts who see the entry of the banking sector into the stock market as an alternative mode of raising funds for development. Details with Sally Ebenye Nyoki in Douala.
It was a historical event at the headquarters of the Bourse des Valeurs Mobiliers d'Afrique Centrale BVMAC headquarters in Douala, where a financial institution was listed and its shares introduced for initial public offering. More than 61,000 shares at the cost of 42,000 francs CFA per share were introduced for trading following the ringing of the bell. The president of the CEMAC Commission, representatives of BEAC, Consumaf, stock exchange companies, and representatives of financial institutions watched the initial public offering intended to raise more than 2,600 million CFA francs on the financial market to finance the institution's development program. The Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, praised BVMAC and the financial institution.
It's a very important ceremony today. The stock exchange brings some funding, some financing, and we came here to let them know that what they have been doing so far is very important for the economy of the nation, the economy of the sub-region.
The initial public offering for sale attracted some 2,400 new shareholders, including 20 legal entities and more than 2,000 individuals.
As of date, the number of coronavirus cases in Cameroon is more than 81,400, with more than 1,300 deaths. After an assessment of government's response to COVID-19, it was observed that an improvement has been made to the health system, despite the continuous misinformation surrounding the vaccination campaign. Cynthia Saptala has the latest details concerning the national response strategy.
17 months now since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the national response has been to adjust the strategy to the first, second, and now imminent threats of the third wave of the virus. With government's focus being to improve on the equipment pool and the quality of care, efforts have been made to provide each regional hospital with scanners, supply kits for oxygen therapy, X-ray machines and aspirators in districts and medical centers. Following the creation of the COVID-19 Patient Care Center Annex in Yaoundé, equipped as an oxygen generation plant, the state has also promised to establish one in each region before the end of 2021. As of date, 300,000 people have received complete doses of the AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccine, and in August, new doses, that is, Johnson & Johnson, will be arriving the territory. As concerns the traditional pharmacopoeia, the Ministry of Public Health recently presented the approval for 5 local products as adjuvants. But the fight against the virus has faced challenges nationwide, mainly the misinformation surrounding the vaccine and the drop in barrier gestures.
And vaccination is the most effective intervention strategy in Cameroon. Apart from the immunization campaign against COVID-19, the routine vaccination against poliomyelitis, measles and yellow fever, amongst others, are still being carried out by the Ministry of Public Health. In the following report, Ewan Epole presents the epidemiological situation and vaccination campaigns earmarked for 2021. His report.
Officials of the expanded program on immunization have confirmed that the health situation of the country is being monitored apart from COVID-19.
16 health districts at the moment that have been reported to have suffered a measles outbreak, and we've had a few other districts, 6 districts that have also had at least one positive case of yellow fever across the country. We have a vaccination coverage for the country that is around 79%. With respect to polio, the first thing to remember is the fact that Cameroon was certified polio-free. Then vaccines given to pregnant women, like the tetanus diphtheria vaccine that is given in our context.
Immunization campaigns are still regular to limit the spread of a number of diseases.
In the course of these outbreaks that we've reported earlier, we have the various districts have also benefited from some of them have benefited from local response. The future mass activity, we are looking at it more of touching most of the regions, if not the entire country. So those are all in the pipeline. Likely between now and the end of the year, we will.
According to officials of the Ministry of Public Health, the move by government is to ensure a healthy population.
We'll now bring you this other communique from the National Assembly. It reads, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable Kavayege Jibril, has signed and orders the publication of the new organizational chart of the Secretariat General of the National Assembly, modifying the organizational chart of 8 January 2008. This text engages the National Assembly to step fully into its modernization process. In effect, the new organizational chart sets forth the concentration of the parliamentary administration on the core activities of the National Assembly, which are to vote laws and exercise oversight over government reaction, the reinforcement of technical support structures instead of logistic support structures, the consistency of the missions of each structure and the overall cohesion, the department in charge of monitoring of the oversight over government action, the department in charge of parliamentary affairs, the department in charge of documentation, archives and research, the Center for the Promotion of Bilingualism, intended for the actual and effective practice of the 2 official languages by members of the National Assembly, the staff and the parliamentary administration, and lastly, the institution of parliamentary attaches. The objective is to improve the performance and efficiency of the institution through an optimal support of the parliamentary administration. Playgrounds have become the favorite place for kids during holidays. From seesaw to merry-go-round, swing sets and video games, these playgrounds offer kids a variety of recreational equipment and the opportunity to catch fun. Rahana Tusali reports.
It is a long wait, but rewarding at the end. Hitting playgrounds, a favorite pastime for kids during holidays.
I love coming here because I like to play. I am happy when I come here and I can play with my friends every day.
From seesaw to merry-go-round, swing sets, playhouses, horse riding and video games, there is a wide variety of offers.
I choose to bring the children around so they would distract themselves, because with the stress of education throughout the academic year, I deemed it necessary to bring them so that they can have fun.
We offer of children an opportunity to relax after 9 months to the school.
An experience the kids wish would last for eternity. Not only because of the release it provides, this is the time to make new friends and after a long year spent in classrooms, get some fun for a change.
And onto our feature tonight on Cameroon, a beautiful country. We move over to Ngaoundéré in the Adamawa region to explore and taste a special delicacy called dakere, sold in most dairy bars and popular among milk consumers. Silas Nkwain went finding out how it is processed and put together the following report for us.
Cup filled with milk. Eliana Cham, a civil servant in Ngaoundéré, pours the smoothest dakere, a fermented cassava semolina, cooked and very popular among male consumers in the Adamawa capital.
Every Saturday, when I finish my sport, I come here and I take a bowl of dakere. When I finish to eat it, I'm very calm, and when I go home, I sleep very well.
Steeped in tradition and rich with taste, Ngaoundéré's dairy bars have been serving up the valuable ingredient since many decades. On weekdays, they are packed with customers ready to savor it. There has been a steady stream of customers on the 7 days a week that bars are open. The processing begins in a kitchen where the flour is carefully selected and cooked. A local producer and main supplier of shops in Ngaoundéré, Ousmane Sheu, says he earns twice as much as he spends on a bag of cassava.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Very few Cameroonians living in Nangaye-Boko in the Upper Sanaga division of the Central region have been tested positive for COVID-19 deadly. This is because many are respecting the different outlined barrier measures to curb the spread of the virus. For an update on the coronavirus situation in Nangaye-Boko since the outbreak of the pandemic in the country, let's join Baldwin Sama standing by at the Nangaye-Boko District Hospital with his guest, Dr. Alfred Koto Ndo. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Freddy Etabisong. Welcome to the Nangaye-Boko District Hospital, where, like other hospitals, they have been involved in this nationwide fight to limit the spread of the coronavirus. Tonight, with our guest, Dr. Alfred Kotondo, who is a general practitioner here at the Nangaye-Boko District Hospital, we look at evaluate the assessment of the fight against the coronavirus in this hospital. Good evening to you, Dr. Alfred Kotondo.
Good evening, sir.
1 year into the fight against the coronavirus, what can we retain so far at the level of the Nangaye-Boko District Hospital?
Yes, you can see at the District Hospital of Nangaye-Boko, so far we have tested like about 1,426 patients, Among those patients, we have tested 155 have been tested positive. Yes. For about hospitalization, only 10 of them have been hospitalized because they came and they presented with some moderate symptoms. And about the 10 who have been hospitalized, only one that has been referred for Yaoundé for a better level. Yes.
So far, it's that good news. Good evening, thank you so much, Dr. Alfred Ndo Koto, who is a general practitioner here at the Nanga Eboko District Hospital. Just like other hospitals, as we said at the start of this broadcast, they are so involved in this nationwide fight to limit the spread of the coronavirus, as these health practitioners call on the population of Nanga Eboko to continue respecting the different outlined barrier measures to limit the spread of COVID-19 in this part of the country. Back to you, Freddy Etabiso.
Baldwin, and if you are constantly chasing after your personal goals, always putting yourself first at the expense of others, then our book of the week, titled Be Humble or Stumble, will interest you. Authored by Cho Gregory Ngwa and prefaced by Christian Cardinal Tumi, the 207-page book describes humility as the mother of all virtues, which means knowing one's place and taking it. Emmanuel Avemnui read through the book and says the writer discourages pride in all ways.
Be Humble or Stumble is a moral book that gives concrete reasons why every human being should avoid getting a swollen head from pride, disassociate oneself of the greatness syndrome, control the obsession of always wanting to be the first, and know that anything built on deceit and egoism can crumble at any time. Authored by Cho Gregory Ngwa, the 207-page book is prefaced by His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi, who describes humility as knowing one's place and taking it. He sees humility as the mother of all virtues, then warns that humility which is made up is hypocrisy. Written in the simplest English possible, Be Humble or Stumble portrays a message the author says is indispensable in today's society, where people are viciously competing, where people spend their lives counting applause and admiration, and where people spend an entire lifetime running behind self-aggrandizement, even at the expense of colleagues or neighbors. To Father Cho Gregory Ngwa, pride is a capital sin par excellence, the queen of all vices and the source and foundation of other sins. From the 10 tests of humility to the 20 faces of humility, and then the humility of Jesus, Mary and Joseph, the writer is emphatic that to be the greatest is to be the least. Cho Gregory is a priest of the Archdiocese of Bamenda with a PhD in social sciences from Rome. He is also author of Belittled is to be Little. He believes everyone needs to humble him or herself or stumble, strongly supporting the adage that pride goes before a fall.
We now bring you sports, and in continuation of our series on the countdown to this year's Olympic Games, tonight's focus is on Cameroonian middleweight boxer Wilfried Sei. He will be at his second participation at the Olympic Games after he secured a gold medal for Cameroon at the 2015 All-African Games in Congo. Baldwin Sama in the following report looks at the chances of the boxer at the upcoming Games. Baldwin?
Always made known his intentions to be a great boxer, Dieudonné Wilfried Sei has always been a stumbling block to most of his opponents in his fights. Hard work, discipline and focus are his keywords that have permitted this boxer to represent Cameroon in different boxing competitions. He competed in a men's middleweight event at the 2016 Olympic Games, where he was standard bearer for Team Cameroon. He won a silver medal at the 2018 Commonwealth Games after he had grabbed a gold medal for Cameroon at the 2015 All-African Games in Congo.
We arrived here safely. The welcome was special and the training is going on well as we hope to live up to expectations before and during the competition.
Presently in Hita City, Japan, alongside two other Cameroonian boxers, Wilfried Sei hopes to secure a medal for his country at the end of his participation.
And in more sports news, AS Fortuna have now tallied 2 points in Group A, rather 25 points in Group A of the current Elite One Championship season after pulling a 0-0 draw with immediate followers Stade Rennais of Melon. Meantime, Canon of Yaoundé separated on a similar goalless tie with UMS of Loum in one of the several fixtures of the top-tier league played today across the various stadia. Roman Kenyi watched the matches and now reports.
Merci. Termed Group A's mighty Maria's clash. AS Fortuna deviated from winning ambitions. League striker Aqua Asoma went crashing on diverse combinations to find the back of the net at first segment, though with stiff resistance from Renais custodian Epana Litese. At resumption, attempts over woodwork, wide ranges from set pieces, and airborne saves from keeper Litese once again put scores at 0-0 tie at full time. Visiting Stade Rennais have thus consolidated group's third rank with 21 points, courtesy of 25 points for AS Fortuna. A Pool B confrontation of identical probabilities, though host Canon Sportif of Yaoundé manifested symptoms of rigor with 2 goal-limpid occasions. Skipper Simon Mukete failed to curl ball to the net when UMS defense showed apathy in concentration. Haughty retaliations surfaced from 2016 league winners before the goalless drag at whistle time. The Parkums stick 4th on lock with 19 points, 1 in front the Loum boys. 10 weeks ago, UMS bashed the Mekomengonda 2-0 to make way to the group's top 5. In all, it was a goalless day at the Yaoundé Omisport Stadium.
And that report.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.